Hi everyone, it's Victoria at Bols Global. I hope you're all doing really well. So, in today's webinar, we are going to be talking about the differences in channel management and routes to market when it comes to entering the UAE. So, we're going to look today at the opportunities, advantages, and disadvantages of working with direct to retail channels or the opportunity to work with other channels, such as working with local partners based in the UAE. So, this is a question that we get asked about a lot. And through our expertise and experience, we do give a lot of guidance to our clients in this regard because when you're looking to enter a new market, the strategy and the plan as to how to enter is always a key one, alongside obviously who you end up partnering with. That fit is always important. However, if we look back at the how to enter, when you're looking at free from and health and wellness products, there are obviously a number of channels in which you can look to enter. These include direct to retail, through a local distributing partner, through consolidators, and through agents, or alternatively, exploring slightly different channels that we'll discuss at the end. Starting with direct to retail, there are a number of players in the UAE, such as Spinneys Waitrose, a number of the pharmacy groups, such as GMG Group, Life, and Asta, who have the ability to import directly themselves, either with a trading arm that they own or through another consolidation office that they also own. When working direct to retail, this obviously can give a brand and manufacturer a number of advantages. The main one being that usually through this model, there are no listing fees to be paid, which is often not the case when you work through local partners based in the UAE. So that ability to circumnavigate listing fees can obviously be a great advantage for brands and manufacturers, especially those that are smaller, scaling or challenger and do not have the budgets available in able to invest in listing fees in the first instance. The other advantage, of course, as well, is that you get to know the buyers, the category managers within that particular retailer pretty well and are able to develop relationships and potentially work on other promotional support, being able to build the brand and the rate of sale directly with them. However, on the flip side, that does mean that should you wish to enter the UAE, if you are looking to have a number of potential retailers and customers on your books and you're really wanting to grow the business and penetrate the market, usually for brands and manufacturers, in this instance, one retailer is not often enough. And you do need to then look at replicating the same process as far as possible by going to other retailers in the marketplace and building the same relationships. Clearly, in doing that, that involves more time and more resource on your behalf as a brand and manufacturer that you do need to consider. Plus, also, sometimes working with retailers, they may also, if they love your product and want to push it further, may also be asking for exclusivity for your brand, which then will also potentially limit the scope and penetration that you can achieve in that marketplace. The other factor to bear in mind when dealing directly with retailers is in regards to your pricing and your value chain. It's important to realize that working direct to retail means that you must give the right pricing to the retailer in order to ensure the price on shelf works, but also everybody else's margin in that supply chain and value chain do stack up as well. This is often something that we see a lot of brands and manufacturers fall down on, and by giving incorrect pricing in the first instance can make it very, very difficult later down the line when they're approaching either other retailers or deciding to switch to a different strategy in the market and start working, for example, with local players. So do bear this in mind when you're starting out in the UAE and starting to export to the market and what your route to market could or should be. Moving on to local partners and distributors in the UAE, of which there are a number of great people and companies that are working there in the marketplace at the moment and helping to supply some really interesting new brands into the UAE grocery retail and pharmacy space at the moment. We at Bols Global work with a number of them, and we often get asked from brands and manufacturers, how does it work exactly then? What margins would they be expecting? How's the process? What will the rate of sale be for our product? What can we expect? This is always a really difficult question, namely because, again, from our experiences, every distribution company works slightly differently in terms of the margins expectations, in terms also of, as I mentioned earlier, listing fees, which are usually applicable to them as a local supplier to the grocery, retail, and pharmacy channels. Now, with that, then, who pays the listing fees? And again, there's no strict and safe rule in which applies, unfortunately. Some of the companies we work with that distribute really successfully in the UAE do pass on the listing fees 100% to the brand owner, stating that it's a brand cost for them to be borne by the brand or manufacturer. We do have others who are completely on the other scale, however, who, when they decide to take a brand, will ask for a very, very aggressive net price, but on the other hand would be willing to absorb most or some of the listing fees and negotiate with the brand on a case-by-case basis how much investment is then needed on the part of the brand and manufacturer in order to accept the product into their portfolio and then get the listings with their customer base further down the line. The benefits, though, of working with distributors, particularly the really good ones in the marketplace, is that for you as a brand and manufacturer, it is one point of contact. And usually the distributors have a number of multiple clients and customers that they're servicing in the UAE, and sometimes multiple channels. So usually they would cover off not just the retail side of things, but potentially, obviously, online spaces, e-commerce spaces. Some of them also work in the HoReCa also. So there is a number of options available to you when you find a really good distribution partner, if you decide that's the right way forward for you. So in working with a distribution partner, for some brands and manufacturers, it can be a great option. It's a way to access most of the UAE market through one great point of contact and allow you as a business to be able to then look and seek for other export markets and opportunities, knowing that you have a great pair of hands that are working and dedicated to your brand in the UAE through that appointed distributor. Finding the right distributor is key. This is the key message I want to deliver when it comes to looking and finding the right partners and deciding on the right channel. If a distributor is the right way to go for you and your brand, finding the right ones is key. In this aspect, therefore, doing your homework and understanding that potential distributor in terms of who are their customers, what products do they already carry in their portfolio, and is there a good complementarity between your product and what they're currently offering? Are the customers that they're servicing also the types of customers that you would want to also have as a brand and manufacturer? All of those things must be borne into consideration, especially because the UAE is a relatively small market, and usually, therefore, most distributors will mandate that when working with them, they require exclusivity in order to do so. So let's talk about another option as a potential route to market to entering the UAE that may not be something that you might have considered. A consolidator can be a great option, particularly for small brands and challenger brands that are just getting started and want to dip their toe, so to speak, into the UAE market. To be clear on what a consolidator is they do effectively consolidate a number of shipments into usually container loads and ship it to the retailer directly usually. Some consolidators do also work with distribution partners, but the vast majority would be supplying in large volumes of goods to a retailer directly. Now, within that though, what that means is usually they're supplying several thousands of SKUs or product lines at the same time. So in that sense, it's usually lots of volume, but small quantities of each product or brand. So in that sense, it's great for new brands starting out in export markets if they want to have some incremental business potentially. And also usually with consolidators, they're normally based in your home country. So that means therefore as well, in terms of having to worry about export documentations, Arabic labeling, that's obviously a necessity and a compliance issue for selling into the UAE, date coding, etc. Also, All of this is usually taken care of by the consolidator. And all you need to do as a brand and manufacturer is simply deliver the goods that they order to that point of destination in the domestic market that you're in and supply it as a domestic sale, even though technically it will then go out into an international UAE retailer, for example. So you can see how this can be a great way to get started exporting indirectly, effectively, and letting a consolidator partner take a lot of the sting out of the complexity of exporting. However, on the other hand, one of the things to consider is that clearly there isn't usually large volumes involved with consolidation as a brand and manufacturer. So the orders you would get would potentially be maybe frequent, but quite small in size. But equally as well, you don't always have the visibility as to where the products are going. Some of the consolidators work across the wider Middle East, for example, and so you may know you have an order, but you won't necessarily know to which country or to which retailer that's going to, because effectively these retailers are customers of the consolidator, and they're fulfilling their needs for their customer, but not necessarily obliged to let you as a brand owner know exactly where that's going. So in that sense, you can export indirectly, you can get some incremental business and start exporting and start on that path. However, usually it would never grow into something significant. And like I say, you don't always have visibility of exactly where that's going. That's something certainly to bear in mind when you start looking at your options for entering the market and deciding which way to go. Obviously, the other issue with a consolidator is that they may then supply into a market or to a retailer that you're already supplying, or if you have a distributing partner, they're already supplying. And sometimes there can be tension when product, if you're giving an exclusivity to say a retailer or a distributor, and suddenly your product becomes available through a consolidator into other competitor retailer shelves, for example, that can be problematic and can cause a bit of friction naturally between the existing business that you've potentially set up direct or through your local partner. So again, it is something to be mindful of when looking at this particular option and channel. Another option in which you can enter the UAE market is using a local agent who would effectively have those pre-developed relationships with the right customers that you're looking for and want to work with, and have the ability to open that door for you. Agents typically work on a percentage of sales that have been won through the customers that they gain for you in the marketplace. Finding the right one, as with distributors, as with any partner, is always key, and it's really important that the fit is right, because ultimately they are representing your brand in the UAE. So you want to make sure that they are professional and the value fit is there, and that they understand your product proposition correctly in order to target the right kind of customers for you also. Another channel to consider in the UAE, which is often overlooked because a lot of people naturally want to get products onto retail shelves, either virtually or bricks and mortar, is the food service or the HoReCa, the hotels, the restaurants and the cafes, which can be a great channel. And obviously, given the amount of tourism in the UAE that continues to grow and the hotel industry that continues to develop, this can be a great channel for brands and manufacturers who have products that do lend themselves to the food service side of things. Again, usually from a route to market perspective with that channel, you'd be looking at a specialised distribution company, of which there are many in the UAE who specialise into food service and who primarily do service the hotels and the hospitality industry as opposed to the retail industry. So it could be something that as a brand and manufacturer could be an extra channel to consider when entering the UAE alongside retail, or could be actually an alternative route that may be a little bit easier to penetrate than, say, the retail landscape, which can be quite competitive and have higher entry costs, such as listing fees, investment plans, etc., that we've discussed before. So I hope that's been really useful for you and you've managed to take away some nuggets of information or some food for thought. Thank you so much for your time today. We really do appreciate it. And do take a look at our website, bolsglobal.com, where we've got a number of free resources relating to internationalization tips and advice, as well as some market specific data and trends that we are seeing in the marketplace in the UAE and beyond. On a final note, we're really pleased to be partnering once again with the Free From Dubai edition that's taking place in Dubai at the beginning of October this year. Last year was a really good success, and we're building on that this year. It's going to be bigger and better, and there's a number of exhibitors who've already confirmed their presence. Also, there are plenty of buyers already signed up, and it's going to be a great 2 days of networking and opportunity building for all of those involved. In addition, this year, what we're also offering to the exhibitors is the option to join a mentorship program that we've developed here at Bols Global to help those brands and manufacturers who are participating to really make the most of the event and to make sure that they can capitalize on the opportunities and really understand the UAE market to the maximum. So in that sense, you'll be able to pick our brains and get some really personalized special support specific to your brand and where we know and can see opportunities for success in the UAE. If you're interested in the Free From Dubai edition, do get in touch with some of the Free From team in order to discuss it further and see where the possibilities may be for you. And it just leaves me to say thank you very much for your time today. Hope you've enjoyed the webinar and hope to see you again soon. Some of you hopefully in Dubai also. Take care.